according to our Tim McMahon and Adrian Wojnarowski, the Mavs, they're trading Kristaps Porzingis to the Wizards for Spencer Dinwiddie and Davis Bertans. What do you think of that trade, Perk? Again, one more time. The Mavs are trading Kristaps Porzingis to the Wizards.
You're involved in a blockbuster 5-team trade.
Yep.
You find out that you're going from the Lakers to the Wizards. What's your initial reaction when you hear that news?
Man, I was kind of shocked because I thought I was going to sack, like the Sacramento deal with Buddy Hield. Like that shit was done. Mm-hmm. So I'm like thinking in my head like, okay, well, I'm in sack, 45-minute flight, not bad. I'm saying go to Napa. But then like out of nowhere, it goes, you're going to Washington. Mm-hmm. But I was like super hyped, obviously, because it's like a better situation. Like going to sack would have been fun. I would have, went crazy for sure. Mm-hmm. Like that's how I think. But like to have an opportunity to play with like Brad Beal, someone that is trying to, really be a winner in this league because he's a killer, man. Mm-hmm. Like he led league in scoring multiple years, or he was second this year.
We got some breaking news into the HQ. Washington Wizards trading Bradley Beal to the Phoenix Suns for Chris Paul, Landry Shamet, and draft compensation. Our NBA insider Bill Ryder confirms as part of the deal, Beal's agreed to waive his no-trade clause. He spent the first 11 years of his career in Washington after being selected third in the 2012 NBA draft. He's averaged 22 points per game in that span, but after missing the playoffs the past 2 seasons and a new regime in the front office in D.C., it was time.
As Woj called it, as the Warriors are getting Chris Paul in return for Jordan Poole, the 2027 second-round pick, and the 2030 protected first-round pick. Your reaction, RJ?
With Bradley Beal being traded to the Phoenix Suns for a number of first-round pick swaps and a number of second-round picks, Kyle Kuzma opting out of his contract, and Kristaps Porzingis being traded to the Boston Celtics, we have to ask the question, what's next for the Washington Wizards? Like mentioned before, Bradley Beal was traded to the Phoenix Suns for Chris Paul and a number of first-round pick swaps in the years 2024, 2026, 2028, and 2030. With this, the Washington Wizards lose their leading scorer and the veteran in the locker room. He has been a staple of Washington Wizards basketball for years. After trading for Kyle Kuzma, the time has come where his contract is up, and Kuzma opted out of his contract with the hopes of receiving a more lucrative contract that may be with another team or with the Wizards for more money. Either way, he's looking for more money in his next contract. Kuzma will be a very sought-after free agent this offseason, proving that he has really taken that jump in being able to be the third or second option on a playoff team that has hopes of making a championship run. Kristaps Porzingis is now on his way to Boston. His trade value was at an all-time high after coming off arguably what was his best season of his career. The one-time All-Star is more than capable of helping a title contender such as Boston as long as he stays healthy. Given the time those three spent together in Washington was little, what they got out of those three was little to nothing, missing the playoffs the last 2 seasons. With Chris Paul being traded to the Warriors for Jordan Poole, a first-round pick in 2030 and a second-round pick in 2027, Jordan Poole will now have the opportunity to be a full-time starter and really take a leap into stardom by having the opportunity to become a leading scorer on this Wizards team. The Wizards were also able to add Patrick Baldwin Jr. in this deal. The Wizards are now owners of a number of different first-round picks that can be used as trade assets and future picks in the future NBA drafts. In a trade with the Indiana Pacers, the Wizards were able to secure the number 7 pick in this year's NBA draft. With that pick, they selected Bilal Coulibaly, who played with Victor Wembanyama in France. Coulibaly projects to have a high upside and is super athletic. The Wizards could trade players like Monte Morris and Daniel Gafford to teams who are looking to add rotational pieces to their benches and use the returning assets to build a younger roster. After all the trades and the draft, the players under contract for the Washington Wizards are Jordan Poole, Tyus Jones, Danilo Gallinari, Patrick Baldwin Jr., Daniel Gafford, Landry Shamet, Monte Morris, Mike Muscala, DeLon Wright, Denny Avia, Johnny Davis, Corey Kispert, Anthony Gill, and Xavier Cooks. This also includes their 2 draft picks, Coulibaly and Tristan Vucevic. With Kyle Kuzma on the fence of re-signing and leaving for another team, and Bjorn Porzingis moving on to different teams, this leaves the Washington Wizards with nothing to show for their time together. This puts the Wizards back into what feels like a never-ending cycle of rebuilding, with the hopes that Jordan Poole can be the headliner of that rebuild, and hoping to return to a competitive team that can compete for playoff berths and championship aspirations. But as of right now, the Wizards will be rebuilding and will have to use trade pieces like they got back, like Jordan Poole, to build a young roster that can compete in the future and hopefully make it back to the playoffs.